Hello, and welcome to Terranash. I'm Aidan, your narrator for tonight. Let's take this time together to step away from the rush of the day and ease into a world of dreams and wonder. Tonight, I'll tell you a story about a wise and mysterious wizard named Gander, who embarks on an enchanting journey to protect the delicate balance of a magical realm. It's a tale of courage, light, and unexpected twists, crafted to guide you gently toward peace and rest. But before we begin, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you listening from? And what time is it as you settle in to hear this story? We'd also love to know what kinds of stories you'd enjoy next. Your thoughts and suggestions inspire us, so please share them in the comments below. If you'd like even more from us, you can check out our Patreon for early access to all our stories and a curated Spotify playlist designed to complement these soothing tales. Oh, and I wanted to share an important update with you. Currently, less than 10% of our viewers are subscribed to the channel, which means more than 90% of you haven't subscribed yet. If you've been enjoying our bedtime stories, subscribing is a simple and free way to support us. Reaching 1,000 subscribers will allow us to remove all mid-roll ads, ensuring a completely uninterrupted and relaxing experience for you. Your support means the world to us, and together we can make Terranash an even more peaceful place for storytelling. Take a deep breath now. Let your shoulders soften, your thoughts grow quiet, and your breathing steady. With each exhale, feel yourself sinking a little deeper into the comfort of the moment. Let the day's worries drift further and further away until only this present calm remains. As the gentle winds of Eldralor whisper through ancient trees and the stars gleam above shimmering rivers, Gander awaits, ready to lead us into a realm of mystery and light. Close your eyes if you wish and let your imagination take flight. The story begins now. The sun had dipped below the horizon, painting the skies with hues of indigo and violet. A gentle breeze stirred the air, carrying with it the soft rustle of leaves and the faint scent of wildflowers. The whispering wood stood still yet alive, its ancient trees cloaked in silvery mist. This was a place where magic thrived quietly, woven into every root, branch, and fluttering leaf. The villagers who lived nearby often spoke in hushed tones about the woods, warning travelers of mysterious paths that led nowhere, or perhaps everywhere. It was said that only those with true purpose could find their way through its shifting trails. That evening, Gander walked its familiar paths. His midnight blue robe swept the forest floor as he moved with deliberate calm, his silver beard glinting faintly in the dim light. Gander was no ordinary wanderer. He was a guardian of balance, a keeper of secrets older than the stars themselves. Wherever there was a disturbance in the natural order, Gander was never far behind. As he walked, the trees whispered gently, their leaves shimmering as though touched by starlight. "What do you sense, old friend?" Gander murmured softly, addressing the woods as if they could speak back. And in their own way, they did. The path beneath his feet seemed to tremble, shifting subtly as if beckoning him forward. Then he saw it, a faint shimmer on the forest floor, like a ripple of moonlight where none should have been. A new path had appeared, winding through trees that seemed taller and darker than those around them. Gandar's eyes narrowed, curiosity sparking within him. The forest did not create such paths lightly. "Very well," he said under his breath, gripping his staff more tightly. "Let us see where this leads." As he stepped onto the shimmering trail, the familiar whispers of the woods faded into silence. The air grew thicker, charged with ancient energy. Shadows danced along the edges of his vision, but Gandar walked on, unshaken. He knew that whatever lay ahead was meant for him alone. The mysterious path led Gandar deeper into the heart of the whispering woods, where even sunlight dared not tread. Strange glows flickered between the trees, brief flashes of blue and silver, like fleeting spirits darting through the shadows. The air hummed with an unspoken melody, subtle yet insistent, drawing Gandar forward. After what felt like hours, he emerged into a clearing unlike any he had seen before. In its center lay a massive crystal embedded in the earth, its facets shimmering with hues of azure, gold, and violet. Thin streams of light pulsed from the crystal, radiating outward like veins of magic stretching through the soil. Gandar approached cautiously, the hum of the crystal growing louder with each step. It was not a sound heard with the ears, but felt deep within the chest. A song, older than time itself. Kneeling beside it, Gandar placed a weathered hand on the crystal's surface. A sudden warmth spread through him, and the melody sharpened, becoming words that resonated in his mind. Serenia, the golden flame, fading. The crystal's voice was soft but urgent, like a distant bell ringing through mist. Gandar's brows furrowed. Serenia, a name he had not heard for centuries. A hidden realm, protected by ancient magic, its existence veiled from all but the most attuned seekers. And the golden flame, if it truly was fading, then Eldralor itself was in danger. Gandar rose, his expression grave yet resolute. "I hear your call," he said softly. The crystal's glow intensified for a moment, as if acknowledging his words. Then, as abruptly as it had begun, the melody faded, leaving only silence in its wake. The path ahead was clear. Gandar knew that his journey had only just begun. Gandar pressed forward with steady determination, his path now illuminated by faint threads of silver light that seemed woven into the forest floor. Though the trees loomed tall and shadowed around him, the whispering woods no longer carried the weight of mystery, but instead seemed to hum with quiet encouragement. He knew his destination was far beyond the familiar edges of Eldralor, yet every step brought him closer to a place where time and magic intertwined. The air shifted subtly, and soon the thick forest thinned into a breathtaking expanse Before him stretched the River of Stars, a shimmering waterway that glowed as though filled with liquid starlight. The gentle current flowed under a sky painted with constellations, each star reflected perfectly on the glass-like surface. It was a place spoken of only in ancient lore, a sacred crossing between realms. Few ever laid eyes upon it, and fewer still returned to speak of its wonders. Standing at the riverbank, Gandar paused. There was no visible bridge, only the endless flow of celestial waters lapping softly at the shore. But Gandar, wise in the ways of hidden paths, knew that appearances often concealed truth. With a soft hum beneath his breath, he lifted his staff high, its crystal tip glowing with golden brilliance. By light and purpose, let the way be shown, he intoned. The river responded immediately. Threads of moonlight wove themselves together, forming an elegant bridge that shimmered like spun silver. Each step Gandar took upon it echoed softly, as though the stars themselves whispered beneath his feet. He moved steadily, unbothered by the strange weightlessness of the crossing. Below, the river sparkled endlessly, promising both beauty and danger to those who dared underestimate its depths. Halfway across, Gandar felt a shift in the air. Shadows rippled across the water, dark tendrils reaching upward as if seeking to grasp the bridge. A familiar chill crept down his spine, an unmistakable sign of Malakar, the ancient force of shadow that had long sought to corrupt the balance Gandar protected. Gandar did not falter. He planted his staff firmly on the bridge, and a wave of golden light surged outward, dissolving the creeping tendrils into harmless mist. "Not today, old foe," Gandar said quietly, his voice steady. The shadows receded, vanishing into the depths below. As Gandar reached the far bank, the bridge dissolved behind him, its shimmering threads unraveling back into moonlight. The path ahead beckoned, leading toward the heart of Serenia and the mystery of the fading golden flame. Beyond the river, the landscape shifted once more. Gone were the towering trees and shimmering waters. In their place stood ancient ruins, their stone arches, weathered by time, yet still pulsing faintly with residual magic. Vines crept along the crumbling walls, their leaves glowing softly in hues of silver and emerald. The air was thick with echoes, fragments of forgotten whispers carried on the wind. Gandar approached the largest archway, sensing that it served as a gateway to something far greater than the ruin itself. The stone beneath his feet hummed with energy, each step resonating like a distant bell. He knew this place well, though it had been centuries since he last walked its sacred grounds. This was the Hall of Echoes, where the past lingered and the future often revealed itself in cryptic glimpses. Standing beneath the arch was a figure shrouded in swirling shadows and starlight. Its form shifted constantly, never fully solid, yet undeniably present. This was the Keeper of Echoes, a guardian of ancient wisdom and forgotten truths. Gandar bowed his head respectfully. "Keeper," he greeted solemnly. The Keeper's voice was both many and one, a chorus that resonated deep within Gandar's chest. "Seeker of balance, you have come far. What is it you seek?" "The golden flame fades," Gandar replied. "Serenia is in peril. I seek the truth that lies hidden here." The Keeper's form pulsed with light and shadow. "The flame fades because darkness stirs," it intoned. "Malakar's reach grows stronger, and even now he seeks to unravel the threads of harmony." "I have faced his shadows before," Gandar said calmly. "I will face them again." The Keeper regarded him in thoughtful silence before extending a hand made of shimmering starlight. "Then take this gift, Guardian, for the path ahead is treacherous." A single thread of light emerged from the Keeper's palm, weaving itself around Gandar's staff until it glowed with newfound brilliance. The Keeper's voice softened. "May it guide you through shadow and doubt." Gandar inclined his head. "I am grateful." As the Keeper faded back into the echoes, Gandar turned toward the path ahead. The ruins shimmered briefly, revealing a hidden passage that glowed faintly with golden light. With renewed purpose, Gandar stepped forward, his staff now a beacon against the gathering dark. The hidden passage led Gandar deep beneath the ancient ruins, where time itself seemed to bend and twist. The air grew cooler, carrying with it the scent of damp stone and earth. Faint golden light illuminated the narrow corridor, flickering like distant fireflies as Gandar made his way forward. His staff hummed softly, the Keeper's gift radiating steady warmth in his grip. The passage opened suddenly into a vast chamber, its walls etched with intricate patterns that shimmered like veins of liquid gold. At its center stood a stone archway, towering and ominous, wrapped in threads of shadow that pulsed faintly like a living thing. Beyond the archway lay darkness, thick and impenetrable. This was the entrance to the labyrinth of shifting paths, a maze forged by ancient magic to protect the heart of Serenia from those unworthy to enter. Gandar took a steadying breath. The labyrinth was a test, not of strength, but of will and wisdom. Its paths shifted constantly, responding to the fears and doubts of those who dared to walk them. Only those with unwavering purpose could find their way through. With a soft murmur, Gandar touched the archway with his staff. Light blossomed around him, momentarily pushing back the shadows. "I walk with purpose," he declared, his voice steady. The shadows writhed briefly before retreating, allowing him passage into the maze. The moment he stepped through the archway, the world shifted. Paths stretched endlessly in every direction, their surfaces shimmering like mirrored glass. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness, broken only by the faint echo of Gandar's footsteps. He moved forward calmly, trusting his instincts and the guiding light of his staff. At first, the paths seemed straightforward, but soon they began to twist and blur. The walls pulsed with shadow, and strange whispers filled the air. Fragments of doubt and fear, meant to unnerve even the strongest of hearts. Gander ignored them, his focus unbroken. He knew the labyrinth fed on uncertainty, and he would not give it the satisfaction. Yet as he rounded a corner, the path before him splintered into dozens of shimmering trails, each one identical to the next. For a moment, even Gander hesitated. The light of his staff flickered, struggling against the oppressive shadows. Closing his eyes, he took a slow, steady breath, grounding himself in the present. The answer was not in what he saw, but in what he felt. The faint melody of the crystal song echoed in his mind, a reminder of the harmony he sought to protect. Focusing on that melody, Gander took a confident step forward onto the path directly before him. The shadows hissed in frustration, but the path held firm, glowing faintly beneath his feet. Step by step, he moved with purpose, the labyrinth's shifting walls slowly yielding to his unwavering resolve. At last, the oppressive darkness lifted, revealing a gleaming doorway at the maze's heart. Gander exhaled softly, his lips curving into a faint smile. The labyrinth had tested him, but he had prevailed. The doorway opened into a realm bathed in golden light, a place where time seemed suspended in perpetual dawn. Fields of luminous flowers stretched endlessly, their petals shimmering with hues of gold, silver, and violet. In the distance, crystalline towers rose toward a sky painted with soft hues of amber and rose. Serenia, the hidden sanctuary of balance and harmony, lay before him in all its ethereal beauty. Gander stepped forward, his heart swelling with both awe and urgency. The golden flame, the source of Serenia's magic and the beacon of harmony across realms, was housed within the grand central spire. Its fading light had been the crystal's call for help, and now Gander could see the truth for himself. The flame, once a brilliant beacon visible from every corner of the realm, flickered weakly at the spire's peak. Tendrils of shadow coiled around it, feeding off its light and threatening to extinguish it completely. Malakar's corruption had already begun to take hold. Gander quickened his pace, moving toward the spire with determined strides. As he approached, a figure emerged from the shadows, a towering being cloaked in darkness, its eyes glowing with malevolent red light. Malakar had manifested fully, his presence thick with menace. "You are too late, Gander," Malakar hissed, his voice like the grinding of ancient stones. "The flame will die, and with it, Serenia's harmony shall crumble." Gander planted his staff firmly on the ground, golden light radiating outward in defiance. "Harmony is not so easily broken," he said calmly, "and neither am I." Malakar lunged forward, shadows swirling around him like a storm. Gander met the attack head-on, his staff blazing with light as it clashed against the dark tendrils. The air crackled with energy, the opposing forces locked in a fierce struggle. Despite the intensity of the battle, Gander's resolve never wavered. Drawing upon the Keeper's gift, He channeled pure light through his staff, dissolving Malakar's shadows bit by bit. The dark entity roared in fury, his form flickering as the golden light pierced through him. "You cannot destroy me," Malakar spat, his voice fractured. "I am the shadow that always lingers, and yet light always returns," Gandar replied. With one final surge of energy, he unleashed a wave of golden brilliance that shattered Malakar's form, scattering the shadows into harmless mist. As silence fell over the realm, the golden flame flared to life, its light growing stronger and steadier with each passing moment. The tendrils of shadow dissolved completely, leaving only radiant harmony in their wake. Gandar lowered his staff, his breath steady despite the exertion. The balance had been restored, but he knew this victory was only part of a greater journey. Serenya's light would endure, but vigilance was always required. The golden flame now burned brightly once more, casting its radiance across the crystalline fields of Serenia. The sky shimmered with hues of dawn, serene and endless. Gandar stood at the base of the grand spire, his staff still glowing faintly with the residue of the fierce battle. Peace had returned, yet his journey was not over. The forces of darkness never vanished entirely. They merely retreated, waiting for the right moment to rise again. A soft breeze carried a melodic hum through the air. From the shimmering horizon emerged figures cloaked in robes of light, their forms shifting like rays of morning sun. These were the Council of Lumina, ancient guardians of Serenia, who seldom revealed themselves except in moments of great consequence. Their presence was both calming and formidable, a testament to their timeless wisdom. Gandar bowed respectfully as the council gathered before him. The tallest among them, a being with eyes like the dawn and a voice like the rustle of leaves, stepped forward. "Gandar, guardian of balance, you have done what few could," he said, his tone warm yet weighty. "You restored the flame and vanquished the shadow that threatened our realm." "I have merely answered the call," Gandar replied humbly. "But Malakar's defeat is never final. His essence lingers still." The council members nodded solemnly. Another spoke, her voice like the chiming of distant bells. "The threads of harmony are fragile, always at risk of unraveling. Your journey to preserve them is far from complete." Gandar inclined his head. "Then guide me, wise ones. What must I do to ensure the light endures?" The tallest guardian raised a hand, and a sphere of shimmering light materialized before Gandar. Within its radiant core swirled visions of distant lands, forests cloaked in perpetual mist, mountains crowned with silver frost, and seas that sparkled beneath twin suns. "Beyond Serenia lies the realm of Veils," the guardian intoned. "There, hidden forces conspire to disrupt the balance once more. You must journey there and seek out the wellspring of light, a source older even than the golden flame." Gandar accepted the sphere with a steady hand. "I will heed your call," he vowed. "Go with our blessing, Gandar," the council intoned as one. "May your light never falter." As their forms dissolved back into beams of radiant energy, Gander felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead was uncertain, but he knew that as long as he carried the flame of harmony within his heart, no shadow could truly overcome him. The journey to the realm of Veils was unlike any Gander had ever undertaken. He traversed shimmering fields, scaled crystalline ridges, and crossed rivers that sang ancient melodies as they flowed. Each step brought him closer to a realm shrouded in both wonder and mystery. The boundary between Serenia and the realm of Veils was marked by an ethereal curtain of mist, its tendrils swirling like living threads. Gander approached it with measured caution, his staff glowing faintly to ward off any lingering shadows. The mist pulsed gently, as though aware of his presence. Taking a steadying breath, Gander stepped through the curtain. For a moment, the world dissolved into swirling light and shadow, disorienting and surreal. But then, as quickly as it had come, the sensation faded, and Gander found himself standing in a landscape unlike any other. The skies were a deep indigo, dotted with stars that shimmered like diamonds on velvet. Strange trees with silver leaves and translucent trunks swayed gently in an unseen breeze. Pools of luminescent water dotted the landscape, their surfaces rippling with hues of violet and cerulean. The air was thick with magic, palpable and ancient. Gander moved forward, his senses heightened. Though the realm of Veils was breathtakingly beautiful, he knew danger often hid beneath such splendor. The wellspring of light, his destination, was said to lie at the heart of this enigmatic land, guarded by forces both benevolent and malevolent. As he walked, a soft rustling caught his attention. From behind a grove of shimmering trees emerged a figure clad in robes of midnight blue, their face obscured by a hood. The figure's presence radiated both power and mystery. "Traveler from Serenia," the figure spoke, their voice smooth and melodic. "You seek the wellspring, do you not?" "I do," Gander affirmed, his grip tightening on his staff. "Who are you?" "I am Elion, a guide for those who dare to walk this realm," the figure replied, lowering their hood to reveal a face both ancient and youthful, with eyes that sparkled like starlight. "Few have ventured here and lived to tell the tale, but you carry the mark of harmony." Gander regarded Elion carefully. "If you are truly a guide, then help me find the wellspring." Elion smiled faintly. "The wellspring lies beyond the Valley of Echoes, a place where truth and illusion intertwine. Many have lost themselves there, unable to discern reality from deception. I will not be swayed by shadows or falsehoods," Gander said firmly. "Perhaps," Elion mused, "but even the strongest heart can falter when faced with its own fears." With a graceful gesture, Elion beckoned Gander forward. "Come, guardian of balance. The path is long, and time is fleeting." As Gander followed Elion through the shimmering landscape, he knew the true test lay ahead. The Valley of Echoes awaited, a place where courage and conviction would be tested to their very limits. Yet Gandar's resolve remained unshaken. No matter the challenges that lay ahead, he would see his journey through to the end. The path to the Valley of Echoes twisted through a landscape that shimmered with ethereal beauty. Moonlit streams cut through fields of luminescent flowers, their petals glowing softly in hues of blue and violet. The air was thick with the hum of unseen energy, vibrating with ancient magic. Gandar moved steadily forward, guided by Elyon, whose graceful strides seemed to glide effortlessly over the shimmering ground. They walked in silence for a time, the weight of the journey heavy between them. Elyon finally spoke, their voice soft but resolute. The Valley of Echoes is unlike any place you've ever known. It reveals truths hidden in the depths of the heart, but twists them into illusions that can ensnare even the strongest of wills. I have faced shadows and seen harmony nearly undone, Gandar said calmly. What more can this valley show me that I do not already know? Elyon's gaze was unreadable. We all carry fears, even if we do not recognize them. The valley does not create illusions, it reveals them. As they crested a ridge, the landscape shifted abruptly. The shimmering beauty of the land gave way to a vast expanse shrouded in mist. Tendrils of silvery fog coiled and danced along the valley floor, obscuring what lay beneath. Strange whispers floated on the breeze, indistinct yet tantalizing, as though calling Gandar by name. "This is where I leave you," Elyon said, their expression solemn. "Only you can walk this path." Gandar nodded, his grip on the staff tightening. "Thank you for guiding me this far." "May your light never falter," Elyon whispered, before vanishing into the mist, leaving Gandar alone at the threshold of the valley. Taking a steadying breath, Gandar stepped forward. The moment his foot touched the mist-shrouded ground, the whispers intensified, swirling around him like a tempest. Shadows flickered at the edges of his vision, taking on forms both familiar and strange. Suddenly, the mists parted to reveal a scene that made Gandar's breath catch. Before him stood the village of his youth, untouched by time. Children laughed as they played beneath ancient oaks, and the scent of freshly baked bread filled the air. At the center of it all stood a younger version of himself, carefree and unburdened by the weight of his destiny. A pang of longing pierced Gandar's heart. How simple life had been before the call to serve as guardian of balance. The echoes of a life that could have been tugged at him, tempting him to linger. But deep within, Gandar knew this was an illusion, a fragment of the past meant to ensnare him. Raising his staff, he spoke firmly. "I honor the past, but I do not dwell in it." The scene dissolved into mist, the whispers growing fainter. Yet the valley was not done with him. Another vision emerged, a battlefield shrouded in darkness, where the golden flame flickered weakly against encroaching shadows. Malakar stood at the center, his laughter cold and triumphant. "You cannot win, Gandar," the shadow hissed. "The light will always falter." But Gandar's resolve remained unbroken. "Light may falter, but it always returns," he declared. With a surge of energy, he drove his staff into the ground, sending waves of golden light rippling through the valley. The mists recoiled, their hold shattered. Silence fell over the valley as the last remnants of illusion faded into nothingness. Gandar stood alone once more, victorious. Ahead, a path of shimmering light appeared, leading toward a radiant pool nestled at the valley's heart, the wellspring of light. The wellspring of light glowed with an ethereal brilliance, its surface shimmering like liquid starlight. The air around it hummed with ancient power, vibrant yet serene. Gandar approached slowly, his heart filled with both awe and purpose. This was the source of harmony that Serenia and countless other realms depended upon. As he stood before the wellspring, the golden flame within his staff flared brightly, resonating with the light of the pool. Gandar knelt, touching the tip of his staff to the water's surface. A ripple of energy spread outward, merging the essence of the wellspring with the keeper's gift. The light intensified, filling the air with warmth and serenity. Gandar felt a profound sense of peace wash over him, as though the burdens of countless journeys had lifted from his shoulders. The wellspring's energy flowed through him, mending fractures in the fabric of harmony caused by Malakar's corruption. Suddenly, a soft voice echoed from within the light, not threatening, but curious. "Why do you seek the wellspring, Guardian?" "I seek to protect the balance," Gandar answered without hesitation, "to ensure that harmony endures." The light pulsed gently, as though considering his words. "Balance is not the absence of darkness, but the coexistence of light and shadow. You have proven your understanding of this truth." Gandar nodded solemnly. "I have learned that neither can exist without the other, but harmony must be preserved." The wellspring's light brightened, enveloping Gandar completely. "Then take this gift, Guardian. May it guide you in times of uncertainty and strengthen your resolve when shadows rise again." As the light receded, Gandar rose to his feet, his staff glowing with renewed brilliance. The wellspring shimmered steadily, its energy now infused with the resilience born of Gandar's journey. Turning back toward the path, Gandar knew his task was complete, for now. The forces of darkness would always linger at the edges of existence, but he was prepared to face them, strengthened by the lessons learned and the light he carried within. As he walked away from the wellspring, the landscape of the realm of Veils seemed brighter, more vibrant. The trees swayed gently, their silver leaves glinting in the radiant light. The air hummed with harmony restored. Elion reappeared at the edge of the valley, a serene smile on their face. "You have done well, Gandar." "The wellspring endures," Gandar said simply. "And so does your light," Elion replied. Farewell, Guardian, until our paths cross again." With a nod of farewell, Gandar stepped through the shimmering curtain of mist, leaving the realm of veils behind. The journey had been long and perilous, but harmony had been restored. And as Gandar returned to Serenia, he knew that peace, however fleeting, was always worth fighting for.